Blitzer in Washington. The Abu Ghraib prison scandal in Iraq was a serious blow to the reputation of the United States. Top U.S. military officials insisted that until the photos of Iraqi prisoners became public in 2004, they were unaware of the seriousness of the scandal. But an article by investigative journalist Seymour Hersh in the new issue of the New Yorker magazine about the Abu Ghraib investigation contradicts that claim and has a lot more new information. Seymour Hersh is joining us here on Late Edition Sci. Thanks very much for coming in. Give us the immediate headline that pops out from in your mind based on all the reporting, all the new information that you collected in this article.
Very simply, that the notion, as they told Congress, that our leader, Rumsfeld, Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, and his aides, they all went and testified in May after the stories about Abu Ghraib became public that, oh my God, we just didn't know about it until we didn't realize how serious it was, is simply not true. The fact is that within a few days of the incident first getting reported internally, which was in January of '04, the back channel was flying. There were messages going. And the back channel showed very clearly, the documents, the actual cables show that Rumsfeld and his aides and Wolfowitz and his aides and the director of the Joint Staff, all these senior people in the Pentagon were getting very detailed. They didn't see the photographs. They were getting verbal accounts of the photographs that made it very clear. It was taken very seriously within days from the top to bottom in the government.
And there's a quote that you have from Major General Antonio Taguba, who was in charge of the investigation, a two-star U.S. Army general, highly respected. He was brought in early on to investigate. Then on May 6th, 2004, he's at a meeting with Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, all the top brass at the Pentagon, and he's told you in an interview on the record with you in this new article, he said this: I described the naked detainee lying on the wet floor, handcuffed, with an interrogator shoving things up his rectum, and said, that's not abuse, that's torture. There was quiet. Now that's what he said, according to himself, on May 6th. Here's what Rumsfeld said the next day on May 7th when he was testifying before the House Armed Services Committee.
It breaks our hearts that, in fact, someone didn't say, wait, look, this is terrible. We need to do something to manage the legal part of it was proceeding along fine. What wasn't proceeding along fine is the fact that the president didn't know, and you didn't know, and I didn't know. And as a result, somebody just sent a secret report to the press, and there they are.
All right, so you want to comment on what you've learned based on your reporting.
What he's talking about is Taguba did a report that probably he finished it in late February, early March of '04.
Because he was brought in January of '04.
He's out there, and he's in Kuwait. He's a two-star general involved in the war, highly, as you said, and I found nobody that said anything adverse. He's a highly respected officer. It's just randomness. They needed a senior officer to investigate. You're it, buddy. He goes and does it. And right away he feels the heat because I don't know what made him so special. Maybe there was the fact that he was born in the Philippines and he had to work his way up to two-star, which is a tough thing. He's not a big guy. He had to show many different ways how competent he was. But he just resolved to tell it straight, and it was a tough story. And he wrote about systematic abuse and torture. And he was discouraged from the very beginning to go all the way with the report, but he kept on doing it. His report was filed, as I say, probably March 1st. It was not even put out or promulgated. I got a copy of it, not from him. I only met him a year ago. I got a copy of it and published it in the New Yorker in late April of '04. And Rummy, of course, Rumsfeld, instead of focusing on what Taguba reported and fixing it, his first reaction is, why did somebody leak it? It's sort of ridiculous. The fact of the matter is, everybody at the top, by the middle of January, knew. The only question I raised at the end of the article, and I'm sure you asked me about this in a minute, is what did the president know when?
Well, we're going to get to that in a minute, but here's what Taguba is quoted by you in the article as saying, there was no doubt in my mind that this stuff, the explicit images, the photographs, was gravitating upward. It was standard operating procedure to assume that this had to go higher. The president had to be aware of this. That's his assumption. He doesn't know it for sure. The president says he didn't know about it. He didn't see these pictures till he saw them on television.
It's not a question of seeing the pictures. Once they had the back channel emails describing everything, from the field, guys are saying, hey, boss, let me tell you what's going on. It was very serious stuff. The messages are all high priority, and they go directly to Rumsfeld's military aide, who's now a four-star general running NATO, General Craddock. And the question is, Rumsfeld acknowledged, sort of in and out, it was unclear in his testimony exactly when he told the president, but certainly by March he's saying he's talking to the president quite a bit about this.
This is before your article breaking the story.
Oh my God, 2 months.
Yeah.
Is it possible? You know, the question you have to ask about the president is this. No matter when he learned, and certainly he learned before it became public, no matter how detailed it was, is there any evidence that the President of the United States said to Rumsfeld, what's going on there, Don? Let's get an investigation going. Did he do anything? Did he ask for did he want to have the generals come in and talk to him about it? Did he want to change the rules? Did he want to improve the conditions?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Nada. He did nothing. And you know what it meant? Inside the chain of command, the military, you get a bad case like this, it's all known inside, nobody at the top says another word to you, everybody understands one thing. This is not a way to get ahead in a career, to start being very tough and detaining.
Here's the White House response. We asked the White House for a response to your article. The president addressed this fully. He first saw the pictures on TV and he was upset by them. He called for the investigation to go forward. He found the actions abhorrent and urged the Defense Department to get to the bottom of the matter.
It's not when they saw the photographs. It's when they learned how serious it was. They were told in memos what the photographs showed. They showed this, they showed that. And you know something else I wrote about? They showed other, more sexual abuse than we knew. Sodomy of women prisoners by American soldiers, a father and a son forced to do acts together. There was more stuff that's been made public. And you didn't need a photograph if you get a verbal description of it. And it's quite explicit. It's reprinted in the New Yorker article. They knew very quickly this was bad.
One of the most disturbing parts of the article is the way General Takuba, after he filed his report, was treated by the U.S. military, by the U.S. Army, effectively forced out. At one point, I believe you wrote this, basically he was told to get out.
What happened was he was in Doha, working as a two-star general involved. In Qatar, involved in the war, forced, and he was supposed to go. His assignment was to be in June to go to the Third Army headquarters. Whether he was going to be a three-star general or not, he's certainly highly respected and very well regarded. Suddenly, he's told in April, "You're going back to the Pentagon, being assigned to Reserve Affairs, and you're going to be." He was told by actually a very senior general, "They're going to watch you there." His career was effectively shunted. And there's a horrible scene I described in the locker room here a few months after he does his report. He's exercising, he's getting dressed, and there is Rumsfeld with Larry DeRita, at that time the spokesman, and he says hello to the secretary. He says, "Hello, General," and then DeRita says, it was a bad day in the press about Abu Ghraib or something. DeRita says to him, "Look what you started, General. You see what you did." And as Takuba said to me, it's as if I'm the problem now.
We got a reaction from Larry DeRita to that element. He said, "General Takuba managed a difficult assignment to the best of his abilities. I never heard the Secretary express any view other than that about General Takuba's work. General Takuba's assertions to the contrary are unfair and wrong." Cy Hirsch, we got to leave it right there. Unfortunately, strong article as usual in the New Yorker magazine. Thanks for coming in.
Glad to be here.